Have you ever tried to assemble some flat-pack furniture and just ended up with a pile of confusing parts and maybe an extra screw you're sure is important? Or what about trying to teach a friend a new board game and you just completely lose them? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden architecture behind great instruction. And spoiler alert, it's not magic, it's all about design.
Seriously, let's just get right into it because we've all been there, right? You get a set of instructions and they might as well be written in an alien language. They're confusing, they seem to skip crucial steps, or they just assume you know things that you absolutely do not. It's this universal feeling of total frustration. But why does this happen so often?
And you know, it's not just a one-way street. Flip it around. Have you ever tried to explain something you know inside and out, something you could do in your sleep, only to be met with just a completely blank stare? The knowledge is right there in your head, but getting it into someone else's in a way that makes sense, it can feel next to impossible. It's this two-sided problem, and it affects both the learner and the teacher.
So what's the solution here? Well, the key, it turns out, is this really powerful shift in your perspective. It's all about moving away from just telling someone what to do, and instead intentionally designing an experience for them to learn from. Trust me, this little shift changes everything.
This right here, this captures the whole idea perfectly. I mean, think about it for a second. The clearest instructions you've ever followed, or the best teacher you ever had, they didn't just stumble into being good. That clarity was the result of a deliberate, thoughtful process. It was built, it was designed.
Okay, so how do we actually start designing? The big insight here is actually pretty simple, but it is so profound. Before you can even think about teaching effectively or writing clear instructions, you have to do the homework. You've got to do the foundational work first. You must learn how to analyze. And that brings us to the toolbox, the instructional design toolbox. And inside, there are two core, fundamental types of analysis. Think of these as the tools that are going to let you build clear, effective, and totally frustration-free instructions every single time.
So what are these tools? They're called goal analysis and task analysis. And here's a super simple way to think about them. Goal analysis is the what. It's all about defining the final destination, right? What does success actually look like? Then you have task analysis. That's the how. It's the detailed step-by-step roadmap that actually gets you to that destination. And here's the thing, you absolutely need both.
So let's break that first one down. Goal analysis. This forces you to get incredibly specific about the end result. It's not just saying, okay, we're going to make coffee. No, it's defining what a perfect cup of coffee actually means. Is it bold? Is it hot, but not, scalding? Does it have a smooth finish? This defines your target so you know exactly what you're aiming for. All right, so once you've got your goal locked in, that's when task analysis comes into play. This is where you put on your detective hat and you uncover every single step required to get to that perfect cup. Grind the beans to a specific medium-fine coarseness. Heat the water to precisely 200 degrees. Pour it in a slow circular motion. Let it brew for exactly 4 minutes. See? No step is too small or too obvious. This is your roadmap. Okay, so we've got our destination from the goal analysis, and we've got our detailed roadmap from the task analysis. Now it's time for the fun part. Let's put them together and see how they transform into action, into instructions that actually, work. The whole process really boils down to this simple 3-step path. First, you define the what, that perfect outcome. That's your goal analysis. Second, you map out the how, every single step to get there. That's your task analysis. And only then, with that solid foundation, can you move to step 3 and actually design the instruction itself, whether it's a manual, a video, or a training class.
You see, the real power here is just clarity. When you've done the work of defining the destination and mapping out the path, you're no longer just winging it, telling someone directions from memory. No, you are handing them a clear, precise, and reliable map that they can follow with total confidence.
And the results? Well, they really do speak for themselves. This isn't just some theory. When you actually design your instruction, it leads to real, tangible benefits. Your communication becomes crystal clear. People learn way faster. They make fewer mistakes along the way, and crucially, they become more confident. And that frustration we talked about at the very beginning, poof, it just melts away for everyone.
So look, if there's one thing you take away from all of this, let it be this. The most important part of teaching, of instructing, it happens long before you ever open your mouth. It begins with that thoughtful analysis and careful design. That, right there, is the secret architecture of excellence. You can apply this framework to literally anything.
onboarding a new teammate at work, teaching your kid how to tie their shoes, creating a YouTube tutorial on how to bake bread, anything. So I guess my question for you is, what's the first thing you're going to use this process on? What instruction will you go out and design? Thanks for joining me.